Hi guys, Samantha from Jessama Tutorials here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a Bargello. Now, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. So, I hope that I'm pronouncing it right because that is how it's spelled. But anyway, this is basically a leftover technique that I'm going to be showing you, but you can also use it with, blocks of clay. It doesn't have to be a leftover technique, but I found that it works really well as a leftover technique, as it takes those leftover pieces and turns them into something wonderful. So anyway, what you want to do is you want to separate your leftovers into colour categories, and that's what I've done. This is all souffle that I've got over here, because you want to try and keep it to your clay type, and souffle especially isn't exactly a clay that should be mixed with other clays because it's just got a completely different texture. So anyway, I've got four different colours, which I got from one of my cane tutorials where I showed the ikat cane, and I'll provide a link to that tutorial in the description below if you want to go check it out. But that's basically where I got my leftovers. So what you want to do is you want to ball your leftovers into a ball. You want to do that for each of them so that you have no air bubbles. And now for a Bargello, you want to have nice colours for it, so muddy leftovers aren't really going to work for this. And if you're wondering what that jingling is in the background, I've got the cat in the room because I've got the heater on and she loves it, and personally she makes more noise by scratching at the door, so I decided I'd let her stay in here. So anyway, now that you've got those in the balls, you'll want to roll them out into a cylinder. So I'll just pop these aside so you can see this one. And you want to do it as quite a long cylinder because you might want to use this colour more than once. And just stretch it out. Okay, and you'll just continue to do that for the other colours that you have, and I'll come back when I've done that. Okay, so I've got these all in their separate colours rolled out. Now what I want to do is I just want to cut these in half. And then you can position these in any way you want. So you can mix up the order of the colours to your liking. You don't have to do it in any specific manner. Like that. Now what I'll do is I'll bring you over to the pasta machine so you can see what I'm going to do with this. Okay, so we're back now at the pasta machine. So what I'm going to do is I want to lengthen these stripes, and we're going to be going through on the thickest setting. Like that. Now what you're going to do is you're just going to fold it over, and it's almost like you're going to be doing a skinner blend. You want to keep all of these colours in their lanes. You don't really want crossovers. So go nice and slow and make sure that you don't get crossovers, not crossing overs. Now you can do this as many times as you like. I like to do it just a few times until I get a marble, but you can go all the way until you get a skinner blend if you wanted to. But I like to get a marble. So we're almost there. I'm just going to fold it over. Okay, so that's just about done. And now what we want to do is I'm going to thin this out, and I'm going to take it down to my number 5. We were on the number 7, but we're going down to number 5 now. And we're going to bring it out, and that's what we get. So I'll bring you back over to the tile so you can see what we do next. Okay, so we're back over at the tile, and now we are going to start doing the Bargello. So before you start, you just want to take your blade, and you want to trim up the top so it's nice and neat. And because these colours are nice, we can reuse them again, of course, in some other project. but you do want to just make this nice and tidy. Okay, just like that. Now I'm going to be using my Kato Marksman. I do believe that's what it's called. And you can see I have these little ridges on here, which I can press into the clay. Now you can of course always use a ruler, that would also work, but I find this one very easy to use, so I'm going to do that. Excuse me if my head accidentally comes into the shot. I need to see where I'm laying this down. Okay, so I'm going to just press this in, lift that up, and it will give me a diagram of where I need to cut. So you'll just go ahead and cut these little strips out, and I highly encourage you to go look up a polymer clay Bargello on the internet. Pinterest is a great place to find pictures of it, as there are many different ways of doing a Bargello. I'm just going to be showing a very simple one today, but you can do many different patterns, so I highly encourage you to go and have a look and see what you can find for inspiration. I actually have some pictures of a Bargello on my Pinterest board, Jessama tutorials, and I include that in the links below, so if you're interested, do please go have a look. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to just take these, and I'm just going to pop this aside for a second, and then we'll take the next piece and we are going to offset it slightly so that we are going to do a step ladder effect. Now this is just one way of doing Bargello. You can do it so you create more interesting patterns. You of course could use a different blade. I've seen some people use a crinkle blade with the rippled edge. That creates a completely different effect. But I'm just going to be showing this one for today. I haven't played around with the Bargello as much as I could, so I only know how to do the simple one for the moment. But that doesn't stop you from going and playing around with it. So there we are. That's all you have to do really. And now what you want to do is, before I brought you over to see the tile with the sheet on it, I let it rest for about 5 minutes because I'd rolled it through a pasta machine and so it was a little hot. And especially if you're working with a different clay brand, I'm using Souffle and it seems to not be affected so much if it's hot. But any clay brand you work with, from Kato to Primo, you want to sometimes let your clay rest between using it in the pasta machine and then using it in canes, Bargellos, or anything really. So I let this one rest, and you'd want to let it rest as well, as it will make doing what I'm doing right now much easier. If you didn't let it rest, you'd find that these stripes would get distorted very easily. So I'm just going to carry on doing this, and I'll come back when I am done. Okay, so I'm just about finished, and this is what you should end up with at the end, a step ladder effect. But depending on what pattern you're going for, you could end up with a completely different effect, but this is the effect that I'm showing today, a step ladder effect. So then you'll just take your roller and roll over the pieces, and now I'm putting quite a lot of tension on this to make sure that I squish these pieces together. So you can see that it's starting to fuse together. And now of course there are many different ways of making a Bargello. This time I used leftover clay, nice leftover clay, but leftover clay nonetheless. You could use a Skinner blend, you could use plain colours, you could use anything. So it's a really lovely versatile technique that is very fun. So I'll just finish up doing that. And I've got a little piece of cat hair over there. Guess who it's from? Kitty cat. So I'll just work that out. Okay. Then I'll pick it up with my blade, just shimmy it up, and that's what it looks like on the back side. Now the back side's always not going to look as good as the front side, because the front side was what you were concentrating on. Now you have an option of cutting off this bits over here, because they are a little untidy, and chopping that off so that you have a rectangle. But I personally like to keep these bits on, because when I'm cutting out beads I sometimes venture into these areas, and so I end up using up more of the clay and wasting less of the clay that way. So I personally like leaving these bits on, but you can do it in any way you wish. So that was just my way of doing a Bargello, and there's of course many different ways of doing a Bargello. So I do hope that you'll go and explore and try out your own versions and see what you can come up with. And as always, I'd love to see some pictures. If you do happen to try out this technique, I encourage people to post their pictures on my Facebook page or wherever if you make some, because I love interacting with my audience, and so I would love to see some pictures, so please do send in some pictures. And as always, if that was helpful, please do check the links below, as there will be more links to tutorials like this one, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.